Okay, Monster Hunter Stories 2 is impressive. As a fan of Monster Hunter, and a recent defector of Pokemon, although I keep hope alive, this is indeed the game I'm waiting for this year. But the sad truth is that despite all the hype surrounding this game, it seems that Capcom doesn't know how to promote this work. Simply put, for a game that's dropping in July, we don't have enough information for consumers to make an informed decision. Now I have to admit, they've given us a lot of information. But the problem is that the information they've given doesn't reveal much about the gameplay experience. It's been 7 months since we've heard the first announcement. Since then, we've gotten 3 trailers, one of which focused partly on combat, that focused on the story and were tacked on to the beginning of Monster Hunter Rise reveals. At the end of receiving these story trailers, we would then be rewarded with an info dump via the website, virtually in secret. On top of this, Monster Hunter Stories 2 only has a Japanese Twitter account. This is unusual if we're to use the previous releases as a blueprint. But we do have something. The most recent trailer gave us an overview of the battle system, which includes a rock, paper, scissors mechanic that you use to gain an advantage over your opponent. For those that have played the game, this is standard. We know what things will look like when we ram our monsters into one another. For us, we need content geared towards what's changed in the game, and the expressions of this being an in-house game made by the same wonderful developers who made the Portable series. For those uninitiated, so much of the base mechanics are left out that anyone engaging with the trailer alone will be confused at best. Although I understand that this was done to garner interest without overwhelming new players, this is simply not enough when we are 2 months out from the final release of the game. That being said, here's what we need to see to help newer and returning players have interest in Monster Hunter Stories 2: Wings of Ruin. Core gameplay. The battle mechanics of Monster Hunter Stories 2 are on display in the trailer. The introduction of part breaking as a base mechanic was a welcome addition, but we failed to see things that would happen outside of battle. An essential part of the gameplay loop is gathering eggs to obtain more monsters and genes as you progress. This is something that's stated plainly on the website and non-existent in the trailer. Other questions need to be answered as well. How will we traverse the environment? Can we pet our monsters? How will our monsters grow? Will there be some sort of raising system? I want to know. Oh, and of course, how will the rite of channeling be handled in this game? Will there be some sort of visual change when 2 monsters commit to this process? What about food? The first game had a mechanic where if you combine certain items with steak, you could gain specific buffs. We could see some of these changes, but Capcom has been silent about it. The main website doesn't even mention the rite of channeling. PvP. PvP is another area where the developers hope we spend a great deal of time. But there is no talk of how this will look. We know that we have 1v1 and 2v2 player battles and co-op, but I still have a lot of questions about how the mechanics will express themselves here. Will we be able to break the parts of monsters in PvP? Will there be some sort of team protection mechanic to prevent my teammate from dying? We need these answers. Also, we need a tournament and spectator mode to promote longevity. Player versus player will inevitably foster an environment that desires to compete. But they haven't told us how we will be engaging on this front. It leads many to believe that Capcom is either confused about who this is for, or scared that people won't actually engage with the game. I believe this game will be great, but Capcom needs to make it clear what type of game this is. If Capcom made a direct solely for Stories 2 and adding the English Twitter account, it would help increase interest in Stories 2, thus showing community support and quieting many of these issues, I'm sure. Thank you for watching.